On one hand, I'm very happy to see the Black Reaper Kaneki animated, but on the other hand, they didn't capture the tone of this iconic scene from the manga properly. Now, I'm not saying that this episode was horrendous. There was some parts that obviously could have been done a lot better, but out of every scene I think that I've seen from the Tokyo Ghoul anime, like I'm talking about Season 1 and then Rude, which is not canon anymore, and now Tokyo Ghoul Re, basically, I think the Kaneki transformation sequence with him going into Black Reaper was probably the best, I guess, symbolic moment of the anime, personally, to me. But even then, it wasn't nearly as good as it could have potentially been if this was a beautifully adapted series. And I think one of the big reasons why I feel like this is because it's mainly just how the anime has handled itself. I'm not talking about this episode, I'm not talking about last episode, I'm not even actually talking about Tokyo Ghoul Re, actually. I mean, maybe the earlier stages of it, like the first 3 episodes, but I'm mainly just talking about the anime as a whole. I think that this Black Reaper scene would have been so much better if there was a properly established, like, character. For instance, if Kaneki was properly established throughout, the first part, and then Tokyo Ghoul Re, this transformation would have been mind-blowing. Thanks to me knowing how the manga is, the symbolism, and Kaneki's character having a really good understanding of it, this is a very emotional scene for me. Even in the anime, I got pretty emotional while watching this episode, not gonna lie. I actually had a few tears on that Shirazu stuff throughout this episode. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. Don't hate. Don't pick on me. I'm being honest here. But even then, though, I feel like a lot of anime onlys coming into this episode, if you've only read part 1 and you haven't read Tokyo Ghoul Re or whatever, or if you haven't read the manga at all, you're gonna look at this episode and you're gonna be like, oh, it's cool, it's a good episode, but you're gonna be like, I'm not really attached to some of these characters as much, or you don't understand the full weight of what is going on here. And so I am going to talk about it, I will explain what is going on, but the point is, though, I feel like the Black Reaper scene, the big problem with it is not the fact that this episode was bad, it's just the whole context of it didn't hold as much weight thanks to how the anime has been done. And I felt like it could have been done a lot better. Now, some facial expressions, obviously, I think could have been animated a little bit better, like the iconic transformation in the manga. It looked absolutely incredible, and so there is some scenes throughout this anime episode that obviously did not compete with the manga whatsoever, but like I said, if I get a good adaptation of the story, I'm willing to overlook art and animation, so I'm not really going to nitpick on that too much. I've already made my peace with the fact that if I'm going to get, a good story adaptation, I gotta sacrifice animation and art. But, okay, so, let's talk about the reason why I'm a little bit upset. One of the big reasons why I'm a little bit upset with the Black Reaper scene is that when Kaneki's hair changes colors, it goes from, salt pepper color, like black and white, or just a lot of white and black. Basically, it shifted over to solid black in this episode, and anime only's watching this episode, or even if you're a manga reader, you're gonna notice it, you're gonna be like, his hair just turned randomly black, and you're gonna be like, okay, obviously symbolic, I mean, we've seen this with the white hair, but even then, though, there's not a whole lot of context, so you don't understand how his hair is actually doing that, because in the manga, when this was going down, Kaneki took a blow to the head by Karen. He had a big blow and all that, and while he was talking to his mini self within his body, for instance, mini Kaneki, the ghoul version of him, he was talking, and in mid-conversation, you see this blood starting to pour down his face, which this happened in the manga. You don't actually see this in the anime, but blood was pouring down, which started to dye his hair that was, partially white and black, dyed it completely, a black, or, it stained his hair a little bit red, which, at the beginning, when this first happened, a nickname that was going around for Kaneki's name was, Bloodstained Kaneki. That was a nickname he had until we were officially given a name to him, which is called the Black Reaper. And so, the reason why is because his hair was completely bloodstained. He took a blow, and that's why his hair color changed. So, yeah, that was the reason for why it went black, but like I said, the anime, it didn't really show that. It didn't really show the blood effect of his hair, getting bloody and stuff, and that's why, his hair looked like it did. But, there you go. I was just giving context and reason to why his hair changed. Now, speaking of what the scene meant, so the whole transformation sequence to Kaneki, it's not more of like a transformation, the typical stuff like you'd see in a shonen, like, you know, Super Saiyan, or, you know, new power-up or whatever. That's not what's going on here, okay? This series in general, Tokyo Ghoul, to kind of let you anime-onlys in on something, Kaneki has always been reinventing himself. He's always tried to create a new persona throughout the series to try to handle anything that comes his way. Think about the situation with Jason in Season 1, or, you know, Part 1 of the manga, when he was getting tortured and all that, and he went white hair. It's because of all this stress and pain he received that he decided to recreate his own personality, a new version of himself, or a split personality, to be able to handle the problems that he was dealing with in that moment, which gave birth to white-haired Kaneki. And that was, you know, a version of Kaneki that was after, like, a certain portion of Part 1. And then you had, after that, we had Centipede, which was more of a crazy Kaneki that was really unhinged and didn't really know what to do at all. That was Centipede, a different type of personality. And then we had Heisei Sasaki, which was a completely different version, the most different version of Kaneki we have seen to date. And at this time when this was going on in the manga, we were with Heisei Sasaki for about a full year until this event went down with him, you know, reawakening, saying goodnight Heisei, and Heisei went to sleep permanently. He died. And basically, it's like his personality got erased, completely cut away from Kaneki, and a new Kaneki was born, which is the Black Reaper. Now, many are going to say, okay, so this version of Kaneki, you know, what makes it any different from white-haired Kaneki? Well, white-haired Kaneki, he was all about power, strength. He was like a typical, like, fighting character, actually. He just wanted to be strong to be able to protect people. That's kind of how he was when he got tortured after Jason. And with him becoming Black Reaper, now what he wants to do is he wants to die and style. And what I mean by this is he legit just wants to die. He's done. He's done with the world. He's done with the suffering, the pain, everything that he's went through throughout the beginning of the series to where he's at now. He's done with it. But before he dies, he actually just wants to die in style. Make people love him and be happy before he moves on to wherever, you know, you go once you die. That's pretty much what he wants to do. So, yeah. He wants to die. That's pretty much the motive of the Black Reaper. He's literally edgy in a way. He's edgy Kaneki. He just wants to die. That's it. And it's very thought-provoking because this man that's always been through so much, he finally just, he broke. He shattered because you have the version of him, which was, you know, Heisei Sasaki, which was completely different. He was someone that tried to have a family. Even though it was false, it was a dream, he tried to have something. He wanted something, which is why that version of Kaneki was made. But obviously, it didn't work out, and now Black Reaper has to come, and he's like, I'm done. And he's like, I'm just done. If I can't be happy, I can't have this happiness, I'm just done. I want it all to end. That's pretty much where he's at now with his mental state and why he acted like he did. He's taking his aggression out on the world, and he's taking his aggression out on himself. That's pretty much how it goes with his transformation with this episode. So there you go. That's the message there. Now, let's get into the stuff with you know, Shirazu. So Shirazu's scene, whoo! Okay, I'm, you know, a manga reader. I've been a manga reader since day one. Like, since, you know, the Tokyo Ghoul manga came out. I've been a manga reader. And after reading it for a few years now, you know, I never thought I would get to see the Shirazu scene animated. In a lot of ways, I didn't want to see it animated because I didn't think it was going to be done justice. And in some ways, it wasn't. But at the same time, as a manga reader that really understands Shirazu's character and Uri's character and how he becomes throughout the series, this was a very impactful scene for Tokyo Ghoul in general, okay? Like, I'm saying in terms of weight-wise, Shirazu's death within this episode is powerful. It's truly a powerful moment that changes a lot of characters permanently. And the message of Shirazu's death, it really was great. It was handled pretty well in this episode, I think. Besides, I guess, Uri's reaction. Him screaming and all that at, you know, Shirazu basically being dead. And I will probably show the panel on the screen for you can see it, basically how the manga looked to this, how he was screaming at, you know, Shirazu, like, don't you die on me, and he's like, you can have all the credit, you can have all the credit, which, you know, it's kind of like this man that has been selfish and heinous since the very beginning of Tokyo Ghoul that you didn't really like, and this was me, like, when I was reading the manga, and I, you know, was obviously going with the journey before we got this scene, I hated Uri. I did not really like him. I mean, he's a good character, I just did not like his personality. He was just a straight-up jerk. And when this man always wanted credit and all that, he was always thinking about credit, he was always talking crap about, you know, people around him, for instance, Shirazu, and so Shirazu, you know, he has a big chunk out of him, and he's just sitting there dying. He's like, you can have all the credit, you can have all of it, don't worry, and all that, just trying to make this man happy, saying, don't worry, you'll be able to help your sister out, you'll be able to see her again. He's saying anything he could, because he did not want Shirazu to die, and he realized how heinous he was in that moment, in that, you know, it didn't matter in the end. What he wanted, for instance, credit, it didn't matter. He didn't realize what he had until he lost it. And that's what that scene was being signified as. And so, I felt very bad for Uri at that moment, and it made me really start to like his character, because this was a great direction for his character to take. For instance, a new path opened up to where he could actually go through change. But now, talking about the scene, though, in general, I think the way Shirazu was monologuing when he died in this episode, oh my god, that was good. Like, oh yo. The voice actor, they need compliments. Like, they need praise after what they did. Like, that voice actor did a fantastic job. Especially the audio editors and stuff for this episode. When you have everybody's voice basically deafened down where you can't really hear them. You see them speaking, you can hear them mumbling slightly. But you hear Shirazu talking over them, and he's like, it's quiet. I don't hear anyone. He's like, where are you? He can't, you know, see them. He can't hear them. Everything is black. He feels like he's alone. And it hits you right in the chest. You're like, oh my god, this man is dying. And he doesn't even know that he's being held by the people that, you know, love him. Or, you know, the ones he loves. He doesn't even know this. He thinks he's legit dying alone. And it's a really sad scene because, like, regardless of them being there and them screaming his name, trying to comfort him, their words did not reach him. In his dying moments, his final moments, he could not hear them. And that's what made that scene so powerful, is because he didn't know. At the end of the day, he will never know how they felt about him or what they were doing for him in that moment or what Uri was saying in that moment. He just died, and he felt like he died alone, and that's truly a tragic way to go. So, I felt very bad for Shirazu, and I admit, when I read this in the manga, I cried, oh, yo, and I got teary-eyed watching this episode, too. Yeah, I did. So, yeah, I think, overall, the Shirazu stuff, it could have been done a little bit better, but in terms of the monologue from Shirazu, it was spot on. I really don't have problems with that. Now, let's talk about the Kuri stuff. So, Kuri in this episode, obviously he loses Hairu. You know, him and Hairu, they had a connection. And the anime doesn't really establish that properly, from what I can see from this episode. We were supposed to get more details with a flashback to a train station and stuff like that, basically showing how, you know, Kuri, his mind was in distress. He was messed up in the head, even though he looks calm and, you know, calculative in, you know, the real world, like, you know, outside. Inside, his mind is very loud, you know, just in a mess. He doesn't know what is going on. He's just in a state of disarray. That's pretty much what was going on in that scene when you see how he was looking at Hairu's body and he was just very silent. You saw his emotions pop up a little bit, but then it was silenced. And like I said, that scene, a lot of stuff was cut from that, so I'm a little bit disappointed because even though Kuri isn't, he isn't the most important character, after knowing what I know in Tokyo Ghoul Re, he isn't like the most important. He's a good character, but he's not. I think it's understandable why they would kind of cut it, but at the same time, I wish it was there. I don't know if it's just me. I call it nitpicking, whatever you want to call it, but I just wish it was there. Now, let's also talk about the situation with Eto and Kaneki's fight. So, Eto and Kaneki, they get into a big brawl, and, oh, that scene, I think, art looked good, animation really, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. And I'll say as well that, it felt like it had more emotion and impact when it came to the manga. And I think what it really comes down to is just Ishida's art cannot be replicated. I don't know. Regardless of, you know, how good this adaptation is, I think what it comes down to is just that Ishida's art is so unique. The way he showcases things with, you know, the backgrounds, the characters, and symbolism, I just don't think it's easy to replicate that for an anime. I just really doubt that. I don't think even some of the best studios out there right now that we have seen in recent times, like Studio Bones, could even properly adapt certain elements of Tokyo Ghoul. I even say that. You know, Studio Photoball has good art and animation as well. I don't think they probably can handle it well, because it just, Tokyo Ghoul as a series is one of those type of anime, or manga, I mean, that just, it cannot be done right. It's like Berserk. The whole situation with Berserk or Vagabond or something, is just like the way the art is drawn, it just, an anime can't properly showcase certain things, and so I think that's what it really comes down to, why I feel like the anime lacked as much weight as the manga. So, yeah, we got a Savage Kaneki, Black Reaper, I mean, we got, Shirazu's death, and we got a Hairu scene. I mean, there was some good stuff throughout this episode. For the most part, you could say that the ghouls won. Yeah, the ghouls kind of won. I mean, the CCG came out on top a little bit, but the ghouls kind of won. And as well as that, we also do know that Kaneki was also eating Eto's lower half. I don't know how many of you noticed that, but yeah, when he cut Eto in half, you see it, and they censored a little bit, it fell down. So, I mean, Kaneki, when he was devouring and feasting on Eto's, you know, Kakujo, he was actually eating her lower half. So, yeah, food for thought there. She even said she loved him, too. She confessed, which, oh, I love Eto. Like, yo. She's one of my favorite female characters in Tokyo Ghoul, not gonna lie. But I think I'm gonna end this video here. I did see the teaser trailer for the next season. I'm not really gonna talk about it too much for you anime onlys. It's a pretty big spoiler. I'm a little bit disappointed in Studio Clown for showing a teaser like that. I mean, I'm happy that I'm going to get to see it animated, but at the same time I'm disappointed because that's a massive spoiler for anime only. It's like, holy crap. And yeah, I just don't know. But overall, okay episode. It's the end of the first half of Tokyo Ghoul Re. I do hope that this little break we're gonna get makes the next part of Tokyo Ghoul Re a lot better. I do hope that it's animated properly, voice acting's on point, music and all that. But we'll have to see when it actually, you know, happens. So, I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or not, wherever you live. Please be safe. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And with that, Chibi out.